Purim's almost here. You probably have your costume all set and your Suda all planned. But don't get too excited yet, because just before we dive into 24 hours of celebration and feasting, we're going to spend the day fasting. Yep, because from sunrise to sunset on the day before Purim, it's Taanit Esther, the fast of Esther. Now, I like fasting as much as the next guy, but this seems like really bad timing. It's like, yay! Misha Nichnas Adar! Purim is coming! It's the happiest day of the year! Not so fast! Let's be somber. No eating, drinking. Okay, Purim's here! Get your costumes on! I mean, the contrast is just so jarring. And besides, fasting doesn't exactly help us get into the Purim spirit. It's not so easy to pack mishloach manot while you're fasting, or to stay focused on Megillah reading when all you can think about is what you're going to eat once shul is over. It's just weird to be fasting when we're getting ready for Purim, of all things. So why do we fast on this day? Is Taanit Esther just a burden we need to get through before all the fun begins? Or is there something more to it? We're going to take a deeper look at this fast. Once we get to the roots of it, we'll see that there is deep meaning to this day that can actually connect us to the joy and celebration of Purim in a whole new way. If you read the Megillah, you'll see that we're actually not the first people who fasted before celebrating Purim. The Megillah records two different fasts that took place before the redemption occurred. It all begins with a decree to wipe out the Jews in the kingdom. The nation responds with collective fasting. In every country that the king's command reached, there was great mourning among the Jewish people. Som uvechi umispeid. They were fasting, weeping, and wailing. Sakva efer yutzala rabbi. Everybody lay in sackcloth and ashes. To this day, we read these verses in a sad, dirge-like tune. It was a moment of unprecedented devastation in our nation's history. Just a few years earlier, the first temple was destroyed, and the majority of the nation was kicked out of Israel. This was the first national exile since the slavery in Egypt. Now, the Jews found themselves in foreign land, under a ruler who declares a national genocide against them. The situation seemed utterly hopeless. They turned to God with the hopes of somehow being saved. All of the Jews took to the streets fasting and wearing sackcloth and ashes. All except for Esther. She's sitting inside the palace, seemingly oblivious to the death sentence looming over her people's heads. She's decked out in royal garments, being pampered by maidens who attend to her every need. Mordecai shows up to the palace and pleads with Esther to intercede on the Jews' behalf. She hesitates to go into the king, and Mordecai delivers a chilling wake-up call. Al tedami b'nafshech lihimalet beit hamelach mikol hayhudim. Right now, Esther, you're sitting pretty in the palace while your people are suffering in the streets. Ki im hacharesh tacharishi ba'et hazot, revach v'hatzala ya'amod laYehudim b'makom acher, va'at u'beit avich tovedu. Don't think that this is how it's going to end. The Jews, they'll be all right. One way or another, God will save them. The question is, Esther, will you be part of it? Will you join your people in their time of need? Or are you going to hide behind the palace doors? If you don't show up now, then mark my word, you won't be around to join in their salvation either. The choice is yours. We all know what happened. Esther responded to the call. She decided to take her chances and confront Ahasuerus, and her decision changed the fate of the Jewish people. Rather than being a passive bystander, she became the vehicle for her people's redemption. But how did she do this? What did she do to make this all happen? Her first step was to declare a fast, her own fast. This fast was Esther's moment of transformation. Initially, Mordecai told her that she can't escape the fate of all the Jewish people. She responds by saying, Lech knos et kol haYehudim. Go and gather all the Jewish people. I won't remain separate from my people anymore. Esther understands that they're all in this together. Until this moment, the fast was only taking place outside the palace. Now Esther brings it inside her royal chamber. She says, Tsumu alai, fast on my behalf. Gamani v'na'rotai atzum kein. Me and my maidens will do the same. We're laying down our palm fronds and fruit platters and getting down into the trenches with you. Kasher abadati, abadati. If I'm going to be lost, let me be lost. But let it be for the right reasons. Let it be with my people, for my people, not separate from me. Esther's fast was much more than a show of solidarity. In this moment, she chose to take on the burdens of her people. Sumu alai, it's on me now. Your fast is my fast. Your fears are my fears. Esther now faces potential death. Her life is hanging in the balance, and her salvation will be her people's salvation too. The Jewish people kept fasting for 3 more days. From the outside, it looked like nothing had changed. But the second fast, Esther's fast, transformed their mourning and despair into a rallying cry full of hope. It was a collective prayer for Esther's salvation and by extension their own. The decree still loomed, but the seeds of redemption had already been planted. Esther's fast is what made her into the heroine that we know her as today. But the question remains, why do we need to fast just because Esther did? There are lots of achievements in Tanakh that we don't reenact today. So the truth is, if Purim were just celebrating a happy ending to a terrible story of threat and persecution, these would be valid questions. It wouldn't make sense to commemorate the fast anymore. But Purim is not just a celebration of what happened after the long journey from tragedy to joy. The Megillah describes it as a time asher nehepach lahem mi'agon l'simcha u'me'eva l'yom tov. The situation totally turned upside down. The threat of annihilation was transformed into a holiday of redemption. The date that was set for a national Holocaust became a day of national euphoria. In order to truly tap into the joy of Purim, it's not enough to just celebrate the end of the story. We need to feel the contrast. We need to connect with the pain and the fear that came before the salvation. So, on Taanit Esther, we remember the terror and panic the Jews felt as they encountered their fragile existence on foreign soil. We fast and pray on this day. We remember these events with our own bodies. We enter Megillah reading still engaged in fasting, and we emerge redeemed. We too can taste the ecstasy of being miraculously saved. The sages placed Esther's fast on the 13th of Adar, even though it didn't take place then, to preserve Nahafochu, the topsy-turvy experience of this holiday. In truth, Taanit Esther isn't a contrast to the joy of Purim. It's the perfect way to enter into it. But there's another layer of meaning to this day, a deeper message that the fast carries. Because remember, there were 2 fasts in the Megillah, the fast of Esther and the fast of the people. The one that we observe today is Taanit Esther, not the fast of the Jewish people, because although that first fast was important and it showed the people's total dependence on God, it didn't carry this lesson that we needed to remember. What we need to preserve and remember to this day is Esther's willingness to take a stand and put herself on the line for her people. It's very nice to get all religious during a time of need and say with full conviction, "I believe that God will figure this one out." But it's something else entirely to take a risk and make myself God's partner in that moment. Esther showed us that there are times when we must choose our conscience over comfort, times when we're called upon to fill a role that nobody else can. God may hold the power to bring salvation, but we are tasked with being his partners in it. This is what Taanit Esther commemorates, and it's what Purim is really about too. Because even on the next day, when we're out celebrating, look at what we do. We give matanot le'evyonim, tzedakah to people in need. We send mishloach manot. We share gifts to show our love and care for one another. We read the Megillah and eat and drink together in community with friends and loved ones. The celebration recognizes that God really does work in amazing ways, that despite our deepest troubles, the promise of hope is real, and that each and every one of us has a unique role to play in this remarkable story. Have an easy and meaningful fast.
Hi, if you found this video meaningful, pay it forward. Share it with family and friends by clicking below, down there. And for hundreds of other amazing videos, check out alephbeta.org. Bye!